The story begins on a dark night, with a family heading off on what they hope will be a perfect holiday. When they arrive, the parents quickly get out of the car, almost forgetting their child inside. The next day, another family, the Daltons, Ben, his wife Louise, and their young daughter Agnes, arrive in Italy to take a break from their usual routine. While Ben and Louise relax in the sun, a man walks up to Ben, borrows his sunbed, and moves it to where his family is sitting. This new family catches everyone's attention because of their strange and lively vibe. The group consists of Patty, his wife Kiara, and their son Ant. They act in ways that seem a little unusual. Later that day, Ben and Louise decide to go out, leaving Agnes with a babysitter. When they return, they bump into Patty and Kiara again. Although Ben notices they're a bit odd, nothing significant happens at the time. That evening, the Daltons enjoy a quiet dinner and chat with other guests at the retreat. But things change when Agnes loses her favorite stuffed toy, Hoppy. Soon after, Patty and Kiara show up holding Hoppy and introduce their son Ant. Patty, full of energy, offers Agnes a ride on his motorcycle. Though her parents are unsure at first, they agree after a moment of hesitation. Patty takes Agnes on a short ride, and when they return, he invites the family to dinner at a nearby restaurant, saying it would be nice to get to know each other better. During dinner, the families talk about their lives and work. Patty, always smiling, remarks that Ben and Louise seem more serious than him and Kiara. Agnes interrupts the conversation, asking if she can play with Ant. Her parents hesitate but finally agree. As they talk more, Patty shares that his son was born with a small tongue, which makes it hard for him to speak and connect with other kids. Patty and Kiara are cheerful and free-spirited, and they invite the Daltons to celebrate that night, raising their glasses to friendship. Eventually, the Daltons return to London, where it's clear that Ben and Louise are having a tough time. Ben recently lost his job, and the couple has been arguing more often. They receive a letter from Patty full of excitement saying how much he misses them and inviting them for a weekend visit. Hoping to shake things up, Ben wants to go, but Louise feels cautious since they don't know Patty and his family very well. After some thought, they decide a change of scenery might help and agree to visit. Patty and Kiara live on a remote farm far from the city, so the Daltons embark on a long road trip to get there. The drive feels endless and tiring, but they finally arrive. Patty and Kiara greet them warmly, offering drinks and maintaining their carefree attitude. However, Ant doesn't seem happy about the surprise visit. In the kitchen, Patty enthusiastically shows off some blood oranges from Italy and says he has prepared a special meal for them. Goose and blood oranges. He explains that it's a family tradition to let a woman take the first bite. Despite Louise being vegetarian, they serve her first, creating an awkward moment. That evening, Ben feels uneasy and goes outside for fresh air. He runs into Ant, who tries to say something but struggles with his words. Patty shows up and sternly tells Ant to go to bed, ending the conversation. Later, Patty and Kiara sit with Ben and Louise to reflect on life. They describe their home as a place to escape from modern distractions, like the internet. Louise expresses discomfort about eating meat, especially since Patty mentioned the goose was special to their farm. As they settle in for the night, Ben and Louise notice a bloodstain in their room but brush it off, thinking it must be from a previous guest. Agnes struggles to sleep, so they use a breathing app to help her relax. Eventually, they all fall asleep together. The next day, both families go on a hike. While exploring, they build a campfire and even spot a fox. Agnes complains that Ant won't let her play with him, which leads to Patty forcing his son to join her. Louise feels uneasy watching this. She also starts feeling pain in her neck, and Patty, who claims to be a doctor, suggests a cold water therapy session. At the river, the group notices a strange scar on Kiara's stomach. When asked about it, she casually says it's from falling off a ladder while picking apples, and no one pays it much attention. After some encouragement, everyone takes a dip in the river, even Ant, who doesn't know how to swim. Kiara reassures them that Patty will keep an eye on him. The group has fun for a while before heading back to the house. On the drive, they almost have an accident due to a technical problem with the car. This heightens tension between Ben and Louise. Louise suggests they leave, but Kiara invites them to dinner, saying it's an adults-only night at a nearby restaurant owned by a hunter named Mike. Patty tells them they've arranged for a babysitter, a refugee who works under the radar but is trustworthy. Since the Daltons have used babysitters before, they agree. At the restaurant, Mike reveals that he hunts and cooks his ingredients himself. The meal sparks more awkward moments, as Louise reminds everyone she's vegetarian. Back at the house, the kids play hide and seek with the babysitter. Anne shows Agnes some of Patty's watches and tells her to stay quiet as they continue playing. At the restaurant, Patty and Kiara open up about their relationship. They've been together for 17 years and still maintain a passionate romance. This contrasts with Ben and Louise's strained relationship. Kiara flirts openly with Patty, and the couple plays a prank on Ben and Louise before leaving abruptly, sticking them with the bill. Back at the house, Ant shows Agnes scars on his body, saying they're from his father hitting him. When the parents return home, the kids pretend to be asleep. Later, Ben and Louise have a heated argument after Ben discovers messages from another man on Louise's phone. Louise apologizes, saying she stood by Ben through his struggles and only strayed because she felt neglected. They reconcile, promising to work on their marriage. However, Louise becomes furious when she finds Agnes asleep in Patty and Kiara's bed. She wakes up, packs their belongings, and insists they leave. On the road, Agnes realizes she left Hoppy at the house and becomes distressed. They turn back to retrieve it. Kiara explains that she brought Agnes into their bed because she was crying inconsolably and reminded her of a daughter they lost. This calms the tension, and the Daltons decide to stay a little longer. While chatting, Anne tries to show Agnes a written message, but he eats it out of fear before she can understand it. Patty invites Ben on a walk and offers advice about letting go of past pain. They scream into the wilderness as a therapeutic release. Back at the house, Louise accidentally cuts her hand, and Patty admits he isn't actually a doctor, claiming it was a joke. His carefree attitude continues to unsettle the Daltons. Later, Anne shows Agnes the disturbing evidence in the basement. Suitcases and photos of other families. Anne reveals that Patty isn't his real father, and that his real father was killed. Agnes takes pictures for evidence and plans to leave. Agnes tells her parents what they found. They act calm to avoid suspicion and prepare to leave, using Agnes's first period as an excuse. However, their car tire is flat. Patty fixes it, but when Ben retrieves Hoppy from the roof, he finds it destroyed. The family decides to leave anyway. Before they can escape, Patty traps them, revealing his twisted game. He admits they lure families, exploit their weaknesses, and take their belongings. A chaotic fight breaks out. The Daltons manage to injure Patty and lock him and Kiara inside. The family tries to escape, but is pursued. In a dramatic showdown, Agnes uses a sedative on Patty, and Ant finally confronts him, taking his anger out on his abuser. The family escapes the nightmare together, leaving the horrors behind. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to check out the other videos on our channel.